the official Pokemon company just banned selling slabs at events. And not only did they ban slabs selling at events, also they banned Japanese Pokemon Center products and selling items and slabs that are over 1k dollars, which is just an insane change, and it will mean a lot of future changes for the market in my opinion as well. And today I will basically talk about all that, what I think will change in the future for the market. I also found an interesting PokeBeach entry which was stating the situation and why this was pursued by the Pokemon company, and why I think this is a good decision, because the Pokemon hobby has been way too much monetized in the last few years, and why I think this will be some good changes for the future. So first of all, why did they do this? The Pokemon company has been accused of monetizing the Pokemon hobby itself and gaining from the changes in the hobby. So everything rises and the slabs rise and everything gets monetized. So people were thinking this all the Pokemon companies plan to make more money off people, but now the Pokemon company strikes back with those first changes, banning slabs, banning products over 1000, and banning Pokemon Center products, which are like the most profitable things in the Pokemon market at the moment. So first of all, I think that's pretty cool of them, because they got accused of being greedy, money making little goblins, but they just said fuck all that. We're just gonna ban the stuff people make the most money off in the hobby, and people got really quiet since. But this was not the only reason, as it has been stated in this entry that the decision is not surprising. Graded slabs have become associated with the hobby's investor bro culture, with many chase cards selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, which was not the original thought of the Pokemon TCG hobby, and I completely understand that. So the TPCI clearly wants to distance its events from monetary side of the hobby, as allowing vendors to openly sell expensive slabs to kids would be a bad look for the company, distract from celebrating the franchise itself, which is absolutely true. I was watching some vendor POV videos. I watch them pretty often because I think they're interesting, but I see sometimes there are some 10-year, 12-year-old kids going up to booths and selling up cards to $30,000, which is just absolutely crazy. And I mean, it's good for the kids that they have like a business sense and wanting to make money, but like, come on guys, it's a hobby, it's a hobby for kids, and it's not like a money making machine. And the worst part of this is, and this is not a single case, of course. At a recent card show, I spoke to an enterprising 11-year-old Rob D, who had taken over an abandoned vendor booth to sell cards. He told me he'd been vending for the last year and only bought product from Pokemon vending machines and MSRP. When I asked if he played the Scarlet and Violet games, he said no. He also said he never watched the TV show. Guys, what is this? We got kids, 11-year-old kids, selling thousands worth of slabs at booths now without even knowing the franchise, without even playing the games. This is just mind blowing. I just flip cards, he said. I don't know much about Pokemon. He added that he learned about Pokemon investing from watching influencers open packs on TikTok and Instagram, calling Pokemon cards the best investments right now. And that's another crazy part. We're living in a time where Pokemon sealed products and slabs and so on are more stable than some of the stocks people are investing. And that is, in the one hand, a good thing, like for investors and to people who want to make money. But in the other hand, it's really a bad thing for the hobby. And I think the majority of people collecting Pokemon cards are not purely in there because they want to make money. They are in there because it's a hobby of them. When they used to be kids, like even Pokemon came out like 30 years ago. Even people that are 40, 50 years old at this point, even older, are collecting Pokemon cards because it's nostalgic, and it's a hobby, and they know it from their childhood. And for me, it's the same thing. I used to watch the TV shows when I was younger. I played all the games, really all the games. Not the new games. I'm missing out on Scarlet and Violet as well, and on Sword and Shield. But I started playing Sword and Shield yesterday on the Switch too. So don't worry, folks. I'm getting there. I didn't like Pokemon Legends of Arceus. Was it called like that? I don't really remember, but I didn't like that game so much, so I took a little break from Pokemon games. But yeah, you guys get my point. It's absolutely crazy. People are just making a money machine out of our dear long hobby, and Pokemon Company finally strikes back, which is a good thing. And it's not even the kids only. As you can see here, at the same event, I spoke to well over 150 vendors on the floor. Most of them told me that they had only entered the hobby within the last year, so during the TCG's recent boom. While some describe themselves as childhood collectors, most discuss Pokemon primarily in terms of resale opportunities rather than the games, movies, or franchise itself. Which basically means people are also lying about being childhood fans because they don't want to stand there in a Pokemon booth and tell people that they just got into the hobby last year because of the profit they make with it, which is understandable, I'd say, because if I go to up to a booth and I see some guy selling Pokemon cards only because of the value and not having like a single nostalgic or at least like Pokemon, I would probably go to another booth. And also, we are starting to see the first defensive mechanism against scalpers. You can see here regarding the ban of Pokemon Center products, Pokemon Japan announced last week that it would require government ID to purchase certain TCG products from the Pokemon Center, a move expected to restrict booster boxes to Japanese residents. It's likely TPCI does not want partnered vendors selling Japanese products as it's internationally accessible events, while fans in Japan are struggling to obtain products themselves, especially when the items are marked up here. So you can see everybody on the world has the same problems. Pokemon products are always sold out, and that is because people buy them in bulk and don't care about other people or kids and just want to resell them and make money of it. So this is a nice change to get through in Japan, and I am pretty sure that this will reach other countries as well and not only Japan, which is just awesome. So now you guys know about the whole thematic, and now I want you to tell you my opinions and thoughts how this will explicitly change the future Pokemon market. First, how will this change the price for graded cards and slabs in the future? Slabs are really in high demand at the moment because PSA has a lot of problems in fulfilling the orders which are coming in. I can also show it to you at the website. They basically stated on their website that they have about 10 million open orders and they will not continue until they at least proceeded through half of it. But of course, you can buy a premium service which costs only $90 and you can still get your card graded. So basically they're taking advantage of that they can't fulfill their orders and want to make more money of it. This is just the state of PSA, guys, and you guys just keep sending them money, keep sending them cards to grade. We really have to stop this, and I'm very happy that we are starting to see the first changes against that. And the best part about this whole thing is you have to pay 90 euros, dollars, whatever, to send your card in. And if you send an expensive card in, let's say the Umbreon from Prismatic Evolutions, and it will be a 10, the thing is going for around 4K at the moment, I think, you will have to pay another 500 on top of that, depending on how expensive the market value of your card is. So not only that, they not only take more money because they can't fulfill their orders, they will also take more money because they don't want you to make your money while selling the card, which is just absolutely crazy. And that's why I never even sent a card to PSA, because my opinion, it's not only PSA, my general opinion about slabs is that it is cool to have slabs in your collection if you really like a card. There is no discussion about that. Slabs are cool, but the monetization that has been made and the rising of the prices for the cards from slabs is just crazy, and it really doesn't have to do with the hobby anymore. It just became like a cash grab for people getting into the hobby, opening Pokemon cards, hoping for good cards so they can grade them and sell them. And there's also another point about slabs, which is absolutely crazy to me. I've seen it often enough that people state that a PSA 9 is the same value as a raw card plus the grading cost, which is absolutely insane because the PSA 7 card is literally called near mint card, and a near mint card is basically a perfect card with like a mini with a tiny flaw you can probably not even see if you don't put a light over the card. So saying that a PSA 9, which is two steps above almost the best condition of card you can get is absolutely crazy to me. Like, as if it isn't bad enough that PSA 10s are so expensive, like a normal good looking card, a 7, is not even you most in most of the cases you don't even get your money back from that, at least for the modern cards. If it's like an old vintage card, of course a 7 is still quite expensive, but if you grade like a modern card and if it's a 7, you basically lose money in like 90% of the cases. I'm pretty sure of that. And this will definitely be not the last change what they come through with. And even now, I mean, slabs are really high in demand right now. Of course, I showed you PSA has problems in grading all of them, but that will cool off because we saw the Pokemon Company is fighting against the slabs. So maybe they just bring out a little bit larger cards in the next sets if they really have enough, if they see prices of slabs are just going more crazy, and the grading companies can't even use their plastic grading to put them cards in, you know? So that is like an absolute crazy theory, but I don't know, it might happen, you know? They own the rights, or they own the rights, they decide what products they will bring out, and if they decide to do that, most of the grading companies are fucked, and you already know that. I mean, that is just a crazy theory. Like, they're probably not going to change the height of the cards. It was just a random idea, but what they might do, maybe because they own the rights to this, they can make new terms of conditions that if you buy Pokemon cards, you will not be allowed to grade them. And that could be an absolute crazy change, because they could theoretically do that. You saw what they did with the Nintendo Switch 2. If you buy a Nintendo Switch 2, you don't physically own the console, you just get a license from the company that you are allowed to play with it. And if you don't listen to the rules of them, they can shut down your console. Not even only offline mode, they shut it down completely. So what if they do that with the Pokemon cards, that you just get a license to basically lend them from the company and have them as collectibles, but are not allowed to grade cards, which would completely bust the market. I know it sounds crazy, but if the market keeps continuing like that, this might just be the case. And if that happens, let's say the next 5 years, Pokemon makes new guidelines, so you are allowed to buy cards, but you are not allowed to grade them anymore. This will make the old graded cards probably go up in value even more, but if the graded cards, they are at high value at the moment anyway, if they go up even more in price, most of the people wouldn't even be able to afford them. And after 5 years, there will be no secondary market left, because there are just these big vendors and whales which are sitting on thousands, on millions of Pokemon uh, graded cards, but nobody is buying them, because the future of Pokemon cards is going in a different direction. And also, much sooner, the people which used to do slabs will probably see it is not worth anymore to keep doing slabs, because since the new sets are coming out and you are not allowed to grade cards anymore, it's not worth the time and not worth the money even anymore, you know? So I'm pretty sure after like 10 more years, for example, the slab market will be completely died down. It will not exist anymore if that change really happens to go through. And in my opinion, they should do a change, like a change of the guidelines, that you are allowed to buy cards and you are allowed to grade them, but you are only allowed to grade them for your personal use. You are not allowed to grade them to sell them for higher value. They should make something like that. And they should also make it, even if you want to sell those graded cards in the end, there should not be a much higher price increase for them. So basically, if you decide to grade a card and you want to resell it at some point, you can only sell it for the price of the grading, the $20, $25, and the raw value of the card, but not like the, what is it, sometimes 1,000% plus or something like that, because I think that's just absolutely too much and that's ruining the hobby. But let's just see how they go on about that in the future, and definitely let me know in the comments what you think about all these changes, about my theory, and how you are generally feeling about slabs. That would be very interesting to know. I'm happy, really happy, if you guys stayed until here and watched until the end. Comment hashtag TCG if you stayed until the end. Make sure, if you are new to this channel and want to know more about this and more about market updates and how I am in the process of creating my own Pokemon card business at the moment. Also, it would be very nice if you consider liking and subscribing to my channel. I put a lot of effort into all of this and it helps out so much, you wouldn't even believe it. So thank you guys so much for watching and still staying here. See you in the next one. Poke Eyes out.